assurance parce que dans sa fait assurance pas gain avance, ni prend chance. Nous recommandons un seul là, Jean-Claude Jonassin, maître question dans le domaine assurance. Quelle que soit l'assurance assurance machine, car commerciale, vie, santé et la trière, prix compétitif, là, dans First Class Insurance and Financial Services, il y a un professionnel courtois, compétent et conséquent capteur là, Jean-Claude Jonassin, First Class Insurance, 03 Babcock Street, Southeast Palm Bay, Florida, 321-727-8142, 321-727-8142, First Class Insurance, c'est lui, oui. Ou besoin d'un professionnel réel de l'assurance parce que nous avons.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Dr. Larry Thomas again with the Dr. Larry Thomas Show. I want to tell you all thanks a lot for your support as you bear with us as we try to get this thing to work. Apparently, I'm not able to go on to TikTok yet, simply because of the followership. But hopefully within the next few weeks, we're able to get on there. But we are on YouTube right now. So you all can go on to YouTube as well. You can pass it on to other folks, and they can go on to YouTube. We're on YouTube Live. So we're broadcasting across 2 different platforms. We're going to work this to where we're able to broadcast over several different platforms. So, as you all know, the topic that we're going to talk about today is challenges, right? When has life challenged you? And when life has challenged you, how did you do? Did you pass that test? Because everybody, at some point in time, gets tested. And when we get tested, that is where we find out who we really are. We find out what we're made of. We find that out by how we come out on the other side of that, by lessons we learn from that. I want to hear from you all. How has life tested you? What challenges have you had? And I'm not necessarily talking about just the challenges going into work every day, having to deal with, at a work environment where you don't necessarily like. Although that is important. And that could be what one of your challenges are. But I'm also talking about the time that you hit rock bottom. And we've all kind of been there. We've all kind of hit rock bottom. Who was there for you? Who was not there for you? Who did you think was going to be there and was not there? And how did you handle that disappointment? How did you grow? What did you learn from that experience? How were you challenged? Now everybody, as I said, everyone gets tested. Many of us, we go through several tests through our lifetime. Just like in school, as we start to see people that seem to always be going through the same thing over and over and over again, it's the same as in school. If you don't pass the test, you repeat the grade, so you must relearn the lesson. And you continue to go through these things over and over again. So I want to hear from you all. Maybe share what lessons have you learned from the times you've been challenged, you've been tested. What are some of the lessons that you had to learn over and over again before you actually learned the lesson? We've all had to go through challenges. We all had to go through our storms. We all had to go through the valleys. But and life is a series of those things. Life is a series of those mountaintops, the high points, and the valleys, the low points, the ridges that may be somewhere in between. Now, those that don't make it out of the valley, yeah, you have to go through some stuff. But now, as we get to where we are and we look back, we realize that some of those things we went through, we had to go through those things in order for us to grow as a person. And sometimes we discover ourselves. We go on a journey of self-discovery. We find out, had I not gone through that, little did I know at the time, it was preparing me for these things that were to come. And so now I'm more appreciative of the stuff that I have because of the storm I had to go through during this period. Some of us, it may have been, the things you went through in childhood, etc. Okay, I got a call coming in. Okay, how's this going? You are on the line with Dr. Larry Thomas. Who do I have on the line? Okay, I guess they might have had the wrong number or didn't want to talk to me. But anyway, so as you go through these storms and you're challenged, yeah, what did you learn from that? Sometimes when and it could be something as far as, you know, as we were, you know, coming of age, as we were coming into our own, as some people say, as we started to grow up. Well, there were some things we didn't have. It could be, you know, we didn't have money at the time. But then as we got money, little amounts of money, and we were able to manage that. Well, now as we were able to manage the smaller things, we're able to engage with the larger things and be able to be successful with doing that. So I want you all, yes, call in 321-216-6279 and let me know what some of your challenges were. Some of the challenges that I've had, and you know, challenges great and small. Some of the challenges I've had challenges with weight. As I've gotten a little bit older, you know, I've had challenges with that. And the things that I've learned as I went through that was that, you know, I do have a higher level of discipline than I thought I'd had before I kind of started out and went on my weight loss journey. There were some things I thought that I couldn't do without Coca-Cola, for example. Some of the things I thought I could not do without, but I found that I can do without those things, and I can still be successful. Now, other things that I've learned over the years, you know, I went through maybe you know, I was in the military, went through some tough training. But as you went through the tough training, I found that, you know, I was stronger coming out of that and on the other side of that than I was when I went into that. Now, some of y'all, you know, your strength could have been gained from relationships. Because it could be personal challenges, it could be professional challenges, life's challenges in general. What are some of the things that have challenged you, and how did you grow from that? Again, we've all gone through it. Now, the one way to look at this, and you know, the way you pass that test, you stand up, you face those challenges. See, everybody goes through some of the same stuff. Yeah, everybody is going to, you know, at some time be disappointed. Everybody is going to not be successful. I don't like using the word fail. We just learn. So all of us are going to have times when we're not as successful as we want to be. We haven't achieved the goals we wanted to achieve. We didn't do the things we wanted to do. We all get dealt those cards. We all get dealt, you know, being sorrow, having sorrow. Having deep-rooted pain from the loss of a loved one, being, you know, having to go without, having those, some of us may have had those feelings of low self-esteem, not having quality relationships, those types of things. Right? Everybody has been dealt those cards. But some of the best, some of y'all saw this when I posted this last week, right? Some of the best poker players, they don't get the best cards. They just know how to make the best moves. You know, some of the best chess players, you know, it's because they know how to strategize, they know how to make the best moves. Now, as they face different challenges, different obstacles on the chess board, in the hand of poker, in the trials and tribulations of life, it's what we learn and how we play the cards that we're given. Because I will tell you all right now, because you're here and you're listening to me right now, and you've done, you know, so many different things. Look back on the things that you've done. You've been successful. You have had some degree of success, but you didn't get there on your own. You had to go through something to get to where you are. And everybody's journey is a personalized journey, right? It's just that. It's your journey. So now, how we play those cards. Some people Some of the things that you went through, a lesser person would have sat down and died, would have gave up. A lesser person would have lied, cheated, done other things to get out of whatever situation they were in, to save face. Other people would have done things differently. They would have found other ways and still not been successful, and embraced that period of not being successful and just accepted that. But then there's those of you out there who did it. It's those of you that went through the storm, traveled through, carried your weight and sometimes the weight of others as they needed help to get through on the other side of that storm. You had support systems, some that were surprising, some that were surprising that they were there to help you. Some were surprising that those people were not there to help you. People you thought were in your circle were just that. They're in your circle, but they're not in your corner. And the people that are in your corner, those are ones that are going to push for you. They're going to go through the storm with you, that place themselves in your situation and join you as you dig your way out. But then when you come out on the other side, some of you, as you listen to this, you came out on the other side of that. You were victorious. And in addition to that, you've got a story to tell. You got a story to tell about the times when stuff got hard, times when you thought that there was not going to be any way, and you made a way, and you moved forward, and you were successful, and you achieved your goals, and you continue to press and move forward. And then there's some that just feel disparity. There are some people that just give up. There's some people that need those words of encouragement, and sometimes they don't get it from the people they thought they should have gotten it from. So tell me about the times when you were challenged. And you can call in 321-216-6279. I would love for you to share your stories and let us know. When I say us, I mean me and the rest of our special viewers that are out here. Let us know what your challenges were, how you dealt with that. I would love to see it. I would love to hear it. And I would love for you to share it. You can post that in the chat, and we would love to hear that. But as you reflect back on all that you've been through and the lessons that you've learned, you've got a story to tell. And the story you've got to tell is to those that somewhere along those journey, you now realize that by you going through this, you're going to meet someone else that has gone through or is going through something very, very similar. And now you're helping this person to make a way. You're helping this person to get through their trouble, their tough times. You're doing it. You've done it. You've done it before. Because you went through that storm, now you're able to be a blessing to other people. And share that. Share your stories. Share your stories of how you were successful, how you overcame some of those challenges. Some of you, some of my veterans that are out here that have been deployed, and you've been to foreign lands, foreign distant lands, and you've had to deal with things. You've had to deal with things that keep you up at night. Sometimes those nightmares don't go away, and it is a hard challenge to just do the day-to-day things and be a functioning human being, because these thoughts continue to perseverate, to invade you. And if you're not in control of that, you realize that it can easily get in control of you. And these are challenges that we may face day to day. Some challenges, maybe challenges that some of you out there had to deal with, was relationship challenges. Relationship challenges, having to deal with toxic relationships. Not even knowing sometimes that you were in a toxic relationship. Not even knowing what a quality relationship looked like. And so you were accepting of anything. You're accepting of the unacceptable because of someone that didn't show you the proper dignity and respect to which you're entitled. These are challenges as well. Some of you may have faced challenges in your careers. as you start to learn different things for your job. Some of you may have faced challenges in school. Some of us had to study twice as much as somebody else or other students just so we could, just so we could get a C, just so we could get a B. We had to study twice hard as everybody else simply because, it just took us a little longer to retain the information. I was one of those. I had to study twice as hard in some cases, and just to do well. But as I got older and started to build some of those study habits, of course, I became a better student. And it took me not as long to learn things, but I understand the type of learner that I am, and I understand the certain accommodations I need to put in place for myself so I'll be able to do it. So as you went through challenges, and go ahead, you can call in 321-216-6279. I would love to hear what challenges you have encountered, what challenges you've had to go through, what challenges have made you grow as a person. And please go ahead and you can share that information with us. Also, feel free to share and comment in the chat. You can like the page. You can do all of that good stuff as well so that we can really get a good conversation going on this. But I would love to hear what are some of your challenges. How has life challenged you? Because everybody's been put to the test. And without a test, of course, there can be no testimony. Without disappointments, there can be no great times. There can be no times of joy. Without one, you can't have other. There has to be a balance. But it's how we learn from the down times that can really define who we are. They can really define what we've become. Because we all start out as we grow, as when we're first born, in a metaphorical sense, we're all like a lump of clay or a piece of marble. And as we start to develop into who we are, these things get chipped away as it starts to develop us and who we are. But then sometimes things not necessarily go well, and there may be an imperfection. Well, that's things with life. There's a little bit of imperfection. We all have to endure certain levels of imperfection as we grow into who we are. But we learn that as we grow, we become better. We become better, hope, and in a perfect situation, in a perfect world, we learn the lessons. We learn the lessons so that we can be a blessing and we can help others to develop as well. So it's important that we grasp hold of that. We grasp hold of that and we understand that. We understand that we have to go through something. We have to go through something so that we can turn those disappointments graduate and become our anointments. It becomes the things that we can share with others. We can tell a story. We can help others along their journey because life is hard. Life is hard. You'll hear people say all the time, life is short. Well, depending on how you look at it, depending on your perspective, yeah, you could say life is short, but on the other side of that, life can be long too. If you want to see how long life is, look at someone who's made a series of bad decisions and has had to live with those bad decisions. Life can be very, very long for them. If you make a series of bad decisions, a series of bad choices, you don't listen to those that may be around you to help you, then that can be an issue. All right, I see here in the chat, let's see this, Candace Franklin Gaines. Yes, good evening to you as well. Feel free to call in, 321-216-6279. I'd love to hear you talk about some of the challenges that you face. Married couples out here, we face all kinds of challenges. anything, as it was explained to me in the early stages, anything that you have to do with someone else is a challenge. Because you have one way of doing something, someone else has a different way of doing something. Please, you can call in on 321-216-6279. Again, that's 321-216-6279. Yes, I can see your texts, Candace. We can see those. So far, only see 2. But you can call in. I'll put the number here in the chat. Oh, hold on a second. Got a call coming in. All right. I got a call coming in here. You on the line with Dr. Larry Thomas. Tonight we talking about challenges. Challenges that where life has put us to the test. And how we came out on the other side of that test. Did we come out stronger, or how did we come out on the other side? Who I got on the line here?
How you doing, Dr. Larry? This is Dennis Gaines.
Hey, what's up there, Dennis? How you doing? Dr. Dennis Gaines, what's up?
Doing well. I'm listening to your topic tonight, and anybody who's a parent could probably relate to this. When you start to talk about learning your lessons and how they contribute to your growth and development and experience and that kind of thing, and especially the part about not learning your lessons and having to go through it the hard way. Those are our children. In fact, it was probably us at one time if we think back far enough.
Yeah.
But you eventually learn, and I'm going through situations like that now with my own children where they just don't seem to get it. It's like they want to learn the hard way. And sometimes you have to step back and let them go through their own processes, even though you know it's going to be painful.
Yes, yeah, that is very true. Anyone has kids, the one thing that I tell, a couple things that I tell people that have kids, if you're expecting your kid to, we all have the same impression. We have a son or we have a daughter that's born. We're like, hey, that's gonna be a little mini me. These are like the same things I like. Gonna do the same things I do. It's gonna be great, And sometimes it's not the case. They have their own way. They do their own thing, and we have to let them grow. Even though we've been down that road, and we try to tell our kids, and sometimes they just insist on seeing it the other way. You know what I'm saying? And doing it the more challenging way, because we don't know anything. Just like we didn't think our parents knew very much either when we was coming up. We thought we had it all figured out, that our parents were outdated. You there, Dennis?
Yeah, little did we know they were spot on.
Yep. Mark Twain. Mark Twain said, when I was 14, I thought my dad was the dumbest person in the world. But when I was 21, I was surprised at how much he had learned. You know what I'm saying? And it's very true. We think that, and that's something that every generation thinks the other generation stuff is outdated. But every generation prior to us, they're like, look, they already know what the road is, because whatever it is we're thinking about doing, they've probably already done it. They've probably already done it and got the experience. But so tell what are some of the other things like you've been some of the challenges you may have faced, and how you come out on the other side of that.
You could talk about relationships.
Yeah.
When you deal with your teen kids and relationships, and they think they have all the answers, and when you try to steer them in the right direction and tell them how they should think, and the selection process that they should use when it comes to relationships, they just kind of disregard all that and end up with the wrong person at the wrong time in the wrong situations, and later, they develop some sort of epiphany and say, oh wow, I've learned this. No, I told you this months ago.
Nobody wants to be the person. Nobody wants to be the person that says, "I told you so." But
I do. for next time.
Yeah, right on. Yep. Yeah, relationships are. And the thing about relationships, if you don't Good relationships can make us, can make us want to be better and do better. Bad relationships, they can change. If you don't change from a bad relationship, that bad relationship is going to change you. You know what I'm saying? And we can, if we're in a bad relationship and it is for an extended period of time, and when I say bad, I'm talking like a toxic relationship or whatever. That brings out a side of us that's not necessarily us. It takes us outside of what's really our character. And we got to know when to break free of that so we can move forward, on to the next best thing. And not the next best thing, but the next thing that is best. And sometimes that can be a tough pill to swallow. Sometimes, it's letting go. It's letting go. But you gotta, if you have something in your right hand and in your left hand, you can't carry anything else. You got to put something down so you can pick something else up. And sometimes what you're picking up is a lot better than what you just put down. But you got to do that.
That's right.
And sometimes that can be a painful thing. That can be a painful thing. But then you realize on the other side, it's a good thing I did put that down. When we go through these, what are some of the and anybody else wants to call in, the number is 321-216-6279. You can call in. We're talking about challenges, y'all. Challenges that we face and how we come on the other side. Give me an example of a couple of challenges you may have faced and how you came out on the other side of that. Because, how did you grow from those challenges? What did you do? Dennis? Yep.
A few, actually. I want to go back to that relationship thing, though, because this is for grown-ups, too.
Yes.
Sometimes they're walking away and learning how to do that and how to, manage your own self-care and put your own agenda first is a process in and of itself. And sometimes you can only learn that when you go through situations like that. And so while it may be painful and you think that it is only as a result of bad choices, the truth is that it's part of the process of relationships that you kind of need to figure out too, because it's inevitable. It's going to happen eventually. And even grown-ups have a hard time walking away from things that are not good for them and learning how to do it graciously.
Very true.
That's very important. But I've had challenges too. Military, 21 years. And I always tell people that my life didn't really begin until I joined the military, because that's when I really began to discover who I am. At 18, I think, going in right after high school. And I tell you, I learned that there's a whole world out there, and I've made the mistakes. Our mistakes in the military tend to be very high visibility. I liken it to being in high school much earlier, and you make a mistake, you get a bad grade, or you can't, you're on punishment and you can't, God forbid, but you can't talk on the phone, or you can't go out, you can't use the car, or something like that.
Yeah.
6 months later, I'm on a nuclear submarine, and I forget to take equipment up to the tender to get calibrated, and all of a sudden we can't go to sea without this piece of equipment. And guess who did it? The new guy who forgot to take the equipment up there. And so the grader, and my chief has to tell the captain why we're going to have to delay, and you don't want that. And you learn accountability. You learn
to kind of
keep track.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I recognize that, not just I don't want to get in trouble again, but that my role is critical, and when I drop the ball, it has consequences, and I think that's a very valuable lesson. One that I never repeated, by the way, because I learned the first time.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. We can learn those lessons,
And you can grow from
some lessons we only need one time. You know what I'm saying? And then there's some lessons where if we don't learn them, you know, we see those people making the same mistakes over and over, and sometimes we think to ourselves, man, you don't get it, you don't understand, you know, you keep doing the same thing over and over, and you're getting the same result. That's insanity.
That's right.
You know. So why don't you try to do something different? Why don't you try it? And some people, you know, I guess that's just how they're wired. But sooner or later, at some point, some people's light switch clicks on faster than others, I guess. You know, and to get it right. And in the military, there's ways that they can integrate or implement things that can make you remember. You know what I'm saying? To put that politely, there's ways they can integrate things to make you remember to do the things you're supposed to do. And you know that's a tough thing as well, because here it is right out of high school, and you know you just, you know, you're watching music videos, doing high school stuff, and then all of a sudden you have like real world life-saving stuff where people are really depending on you. Where, you know, high school, you didn't really have to, the only person depending on you really was you to pass the test and to get across the stage. That was it, you know. Mm-hmm. But then you get to you get into the military, and you know, you go through basic training. They're gonna put the pinches on you. They're gonna nibble on you a little bit in basic, you know, to get you through on the other side of that. And then once you emerge through basic, go through your other training, and next thing you know, you're doing real world stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, and the thing with real world stuff, there come real world consequences sometimes. You know.
That's right.
And some of those consequences are much tougher than others. And if you don't learn, the next time it's a tougher consequence. So eventually, you know, you can't play the game no more. You out. You know. So then then that's a challenge too. You got to decide, you know, I want to conform and do what I'm supposed to be, or not, you know. And how am I going to handle that? So it definitely some of those real world challenges, they make you grow. They make you grow as a person, as an individual, and you got to grow up fast. Depending on the jobs that you have, you know, in the military, you got to grow up fast.
That's right. Fast forward 25 years, now I'm working for federal government and other jobs, and my perspective has changed because I recognize what it takes to meet requirements. I recognize ways to do things efficiently, and it seems that not everybody around you at times really has that same perspective, and it's kind of frustrating at times. But what I realize is that the mistakes that I made and the experiences that I've had play a major part in being able to excel in some of these different areas, where you look at even the people whose job is to manage you, and you ask yourself, there's got to be an easier way to do this? You know, why is this the path we're taking? You know, I don't want to challenge people that way, but in my mind, I recognize that they probably don't know the answer, and there's a better way to do it, and that's only because I failed, or I've done something a bunch of times and I see a different way, or I failed and learned a different way to do it.
Things that can get one of the frustrating things could be when those around you don't have the same level of commitment or dedication to the task as you do, and you can't, and sometimes those people are people that are in higher positions than you are. And sometimes these positions are, you know, people that are your peers, but also you're not. The team is not able to do their job unless this person does theirs. And that's basically affecting everybody else because this person doesn't take it as seriously or as vigilantly as everybody else. And that can be frustrating, you know, and you want to you want to say some things, but you can't necessarily say those things because the military's way of dealing with things, once again, is different than dealing with things as a civilian or a non-military person. Some of those measures are not in place, so you have to you have to be a little more, let's say, diplomatic in how you deal with stuff. And sometimes that can be frustrating because, you know, political correctness. Some people just don't. I mean, we have a tendency. Some people have a tendency to just be more abrasive, but it's interpreted in the military. Being abrasive is not really interpreted as being abrasive. We just, you know, okay, and just, you know, we take it in stride and keep going. But it's a different. Yeah, we have to realize, you know, not everybody has done what we've done and are where we are, so they don't view things the same way we view it, and so we gotta adapt and overcome from that. So as you those 25 years in the military, and I'm sure, well, 21 years you said, right? 21 years.
21.
Okay, and as you had those challenges and stuff, how do you think you came out on the other side? Obviously, first of all, you recovered very well from that first incident, right? You recovered pretty well. So how did what was some of the journey? What are some of the significant challenges that you may have faced within those 21 years? Without going into too much, of course, detail and stuff with stuff in the military,
right.
but professionally, also personally, what were some of the challenges that you faced? And some of the big challenges that we face also, you know, it's a challenge just transforming or transitioning from the military environment, military culture, into the civilian culture. So what were some of those challenges? Some of the big significant challenges you encountered during your career. And anybody else wants to call in, number is 321-216-6279. Call in, love to hear from you. Go ahead.
I'm going to share this real quick, and then I'll go ahead and give up the line for somebody else.
Take your time. They can call in, and I can merge you all together if we're able to do that. But go ahead.
As I progressed, I realized, first of all, the critical nature of our work and what kind of consequences they can have if we fail is at the forefront every time. And I learned to anticipate what the requirements were and what I needed to do to carry out those requirements, not waiting until things are due, but anticipating them and planning early to get things done. And not just planning, but communication if something goes wrong, making sure that somebody more senior than you knows what challenges you're facing so that you can bring them in on the solution. And I found that to work much better than sitting on it and trying to hide it and fix it yourself. The other thing is that as I moved away from the military and into the civilian sector, it seems like people's reaction to things are different, and this is nothing against, you know, civilians or whatever, but again, just outlining the difference in perspective. The one question I always ask myself, even now, is what's the worst that could happen? And I realized, to keep me grounded, that at the end of the day, nobody dies because I didn't submit this piece of paperwork.
Hold one second. All right, Dennis, you still there?
Still here.
All right. Who I got on the line right here? Just called in.
Tawanda.
Hey, what's up, Tawanda? Okay. The phone, it wants to work right today. It wants to act right. So that's good. I was able to merge y'all in. Go ahead, Dennis. Go ahead and finish.
Hey, Tawanda. Hi.
Go ahead, Dennis. You were talking about. Continue.
And so I was saying that what I realized is that there's a way to keep things in perspective and to react accordingly. And you know, I asked myself, is anybody going to die if I don't submit this form, or if I submit it late or something like that? What's the worst that can happen? How now that tells me how I need to react to, you know, recover from anything that maybe didn't go as planned or something like. Very rarely do I forget things anymore, but it doesn't always go as planned. And you learn how to first keep things in perspective, and second of all, to expeditiously find a plan that will work. Again, communications being a part of that, and you know, having a contingency plan. You know, a bunch of different things I learned from failing over and over that served me well to this day. And I don't know what Tawanda was going to say, but I would be willing to bet you that she probably has some experiences as well.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
All right. So Tawanda, go ahead. We're talking about. I'm sure you've been hearing some of the stuff we've been talking about right here. We're talking about challenges. We're talking about some of what were some of the challenges you faced, and you know, they got you where you are now. I mean, first of all, I want to tell everybody, you know, all the challenges that you faced, you've had hundreds to thousands of successes. That's why you're here. There are many that didn't make it to where you are right now. There are many that you've seen on the journey to get to where you are that fell off by the wayside. Some people gave up. Some people, you know, just quit. And then there's some people that continue to move forward. There's sometimes when we go through things, even some of the roughest things, and you both, I'm sure, can attest to this. When some of the times we've gone through some of the roughest valleys, and then we look around and the people we thought would be there, they weren't there. The people we thought would be there to help us, they weren't there to help us. They were nowhere around. But then sometimes we got a helping hand from people that we weren't even aware we were in a circumstance. We get help from people just some of the unlikely sources. We get help from people. We are surprised to find out that certain people are in our corner when we didn't even know these people were there, and they were there to help us. Are you all familiar with having experience with that?
Yes.
So go ahead. Let me hear your challenges, Tawanda. A couple of your challenges.
Okay. The main talent, the focus, what I had to endure for me to be here today. The number one thing I had to endure was the separation of my husband, which I named Chris. Now Chris is a name that I just chose.
Yeah, okay. My man Chris. Go ahead.
Okay. Chris was the person that I fell in love with. Chris was the person that I looked up to, who loved his children. But during our second year of marriage, I kind of knew that I was in trouble. Meaning by, he was an excellent provider. Had excellent 2 jobs, working Army, Pratt Whitney, so I didn't have to really want for nothing.
Well, he was Army, couldn't have been that bad. Go ahead.
Okay. He was very verbal abusive. Never hit me, but very verbal abusive, and that can be even worse.
Yes.
And I stayed in this marriage for 14 years because of my children. But one evening, it just went too far. I found myself in a predicament that he was ready to kick me and my children out. And what she did, and I went to a friend's house, and my friend was like, "Wanda, you can't do this any longer." This was the weekend. That Monday, I went down to file papers for a divorce. he was served. I stayed at my friend's house. Now, when it was time for me to go, and this is trying what I'm trying to get to right here.
Go ahead.
He came into the court, and Chris was like, "Wanda, I'm so sorry. Come on, get out. Let's go, and we can work this thing out. I can go to class. I can do whatever you want me to." Everything in my being wanted to get up and go out that courthouse and try to work it out another 18th time he said we'll do. And he would do right for a month or so, but then he go right back down to the same old habits. It took everything for me to sit in that courtroom, and I didn't move. I did not move. I stayed there, and that was the best thing I ever done for myself. I was so proud of myself for not kicking in, for not giving up on me or my children. Yes, it was hard for my children to have to endure that, but down the road, it was the best thing I ever done in my life, for not getting up at that courthouse and to leave with them. So I think that experience just made me stronger as a woman. I know my worth now. I know that I can do certain things that I couldn't have done by myself before. I mean, you stuck in this relationship where a person's telling you that who's going to want you with 3 kids? Who is going to want you? You don't do anything. Well, I don't do anything because you told me I didn't have to do anything. That you provide for me and my children. Which she was an extra provider, but when Friday the Sunday come, you was a drug. So, I tell my children all the time, what if I had gotten up and went back with him?
Yeah.
Somebody would have been dead by now. And I just thank God that I listened to my body. I listened to the Holy Spirit. I listened to God saying, this is your chance. You get up. You get up. You endured too much. It's time for you to get up. And I sat right there till they called my name. And we both went up there. And he said, the courthouse was like, why did you leave the house? No, you come back home when he can leave. Everything worked in my favor. Everything. So that's the most important thing ever that really, really, really had an effect on my life and my children's life. Going through my divorce.
So how did that impact your future relationships after that?
Oh, good. I had no problem with my future relationships with other guys. It wasn't that many, but and that's what gets me so upset with other women. They always bring the negativity into a new relationship. You gotta let it go. You gotta let it go. If you're bringing that back into new relationships, that's only meaning that you're not ready to let it go. You're not ready to let your husband go or whoever you're with. That's not me. That's not me, because the word says you gotta let go. You gotta continue to move forward. You gotta let that stuff go.
Well, Dennis,
and once you let it go, you feel free.
And that takes courage. And that takes courage to do that too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It takes courage to let go, because there are some people, and I won't necessarily say they are lesser women. There are just some people that are in worse situations that don't yet have the willpower. But now,
you got that.
But now, I would venture to say that probably as a result of you going through that, you would probably encounter some people that were going through something similar, and you shared that. You shared that with them to give them the encouragement. So, as I was saying previously, we can turn these disappointments into our anointments, because those disappointments give us a story to tell where we can be a blessing and help other people to make it through
that's
that they're going through.
Well, that's why I tell you, I love doing my outreach program at my church at Charlotte on Mondays and Thursdays. I'm not just there to pass out groceries or pass out dinners. My method there is to bring in the women and the children into the church, talk with them, share my testimony to others. It's not there. I'm not just there to keep it to myself. I need to get to the children and the women to explain to whatever you're going through, it's not your fault. You know, you can't talk to nobody about stuff you never went through. So that's why I'm there. That's my meeting for me to be at Shiloh, to talk about what I've been through. Because a lot of women need to hear it.
Yes, very true. And make no mistake, I mean, this is not, there are, and any of you that are listening out there, there are men that are being abused too, and no one should have to go through any of that, whether it's male, female, indifferent. No one should be in a relationship where they have to subject themselves to the abuse of somebody else or feel lesser than somebody else.
Never.
At all. So,
yeah.
Let's see. As we talk about some challenges, and again, you know, yeah, we've all had to deal with a lot of those cards. You know, as far as the sorrow, the, you know, maybe the bad relationships, maybe not being underappreciated. Those feelings of self-doubt, and we've all had to deal with those in some way, shape, or form. As y'all heard me say before, some of the best poker players is how they play the cards, not necessarily the hand that they dealt. Some poker players get some very bad hands, but still end up winning the game. You know, some of us get dealt very rough cards. When we're born, we can get dealt the card of poverty. When we're born, we can get dealt, you know, the card of inadequacy. We can get dealt the card of low self-esteem as we go, as we start to develop and we grow. We have the card of low self-esteem, being undervalued, underappreciated, marginalized, underestimated. We are subject to all these things, but it's how you play those cards that you dealt.
And also, you need to know your worth. God says in the Bible, you need to know your worth. That you are loved. That you are, if you say these things in the morning when you wake up, you're looking in the mirror while brushing your teeth or whatever, you have to say it to yourself. You have to know without a shadow of your death that you are worth such more. And then what other people think of you.
So now,
you are worth this. Very true.
For you, Dennis, for you, Tawanda, anybody else wants to call in, 321-216-6279. I got a question for the both of you. As you were going through some of the lowest valleys in your life, were there people that you thought were your ride or die people that was going to be there for you no matter what?
No.
That were not there?
No, because at the beginning of my relationship with Chris, I was told by my family members that, oh, Wanda, don't do it. You know, you're fresh out of high school, in college, you're meeting this guy, your first love. Give your life a chance. Give it a chance. Go explore. Go to this place or to that place. You know, give life a chance before you just settle down. And when Aaron and I had our first
Chris.
Big blowout, and
Chris.
Oh yeah, Chris. When Chris.
Go ahead.
Okay. When Chris and I had our big blowout, you know, I called home and you know, sometimes you don't want to hear, I told you so, we told you so. That's all they gave me, all around the table. I told you so. So what next happened to me was, when the next time Chris got on my case for something I didn't even do, I stopped calling home, and I just kept it to myself because I felt that they didn't want me with him anyway. They thought that he was, very arrogant, and they didn't like him from the get-go. So I felt lost. I did have a couple of friends, but it wasn't the same like a family.
So my question was, so when you were going through those things, you thought family would be there and they weren't there? They were not there?
No.
No, they were not
so
there?
I just got myself.
You didn't think they would not be there?
They were not there.
Okay. Okay.
No, they were not. So that's another reason why I had a nervous breakdown. That's another reason why I got depressed, because I hold everything in. And my doctor said that's not good, Tawanda. I'm like, well, I have no one to talk to about except my children. And at that age, they were very small.
Yeah.
I couldn't go to my family.
Okay.
Because they already didn't like him. So that's how I went through things.
Okay. How about you, Dennis? Were there people that you thought were good friends, that would be by your side? We went through some of the toughest time, but when the time came for them to stand up, to be by your side because you needed some help, they were nowhere around. And how'd that make you feel?
All right, first of all, one thing I just learned is not to tell Tawanda any secrets.
Yeah, for real. She's not very good at keeping those names confidential.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. Just caught me off guard. You can trust me.
It's unfortunate when I hear your story, though, Tawanda, that the people who were supposed to be there for you weren't.
Right.
As I put myself in their shoes, I recognize that, like a parent, as I mentioned earlier, you tell your kids what they should do and you try to lead them in the right direction, and they take totally different direction, make different choices, and it fails like you knew it would. You want to say I told you so, and I very often do. But I'm also there to help pick up the pieces and show them how to recover from these kind of things too. And it sounds like the people when you need them the most to help you pick up the pieces, even when they knew they turned out to be right, weren't, and that's unfortunate. In my case, and I'll go back to a very early situation. Things didn't go well, and and it kind of went off the rails of relationship. I didn't really turn to my family. Actually, I turned to my church, and this is somebody who, prior to that, didn't even go to church very much. Easter and holidays, and now
they call them C and Me Christians. Christmas, yeah. Mother's Day, and Easter.
I was a daily Christian, which had to be a blessing, actually. But they really kind of helped me through that period of time, and my family really didn't know what was going on. And not that I couldn't have trusted them or anything, I just didn't feel compelled to have that discussion with them. Strangers were better. And that's one of the reasons why therapy is so important.
Yes, it is.
Because you get to spill your guts and really unload on somebody who doesn't know you and won't judge you. And
interesting you say that. Interesting you say that.
And it really helps. I'm going to defer to you in a minute, Larry, but one thing that I didn't hear anybody mention is fear. There's an element of fear sometimes. In your case, I'm sure you were probably scared to death, Tawanda, about the notion of having to continue alone, and now all of a sudden your is gone and your security's gone and your confidant and your partner. That must have been a really scary situation too. And again, I go back to how much courage it must have taken. But fear is a reason why a lot of people don't make the right decision. And
plus, my mom well, you have to understand this. This will really make sense to you. Both of my parents, well, my mom died when she was only 23 years old, so I was only 3. My dad took her death so hard that he couldn't even raise me and my sister. So he gave all rights over to his sister to raise me and my sister. And my dad was in and out of jail a lot. So not only did he told asked the sisters to raise us, he told me my sister we could call her mom. Now my sister's 2, I'm 3. I know she's not my mom, and I know I know it was a big difference. She treated us like her own 2 kids, so it was a big difference.
Right.
So and she treated us different. So we was always scared to break home, bad grades in school. So I could just imagine this kid coming out of college, pregnant, scared to come home and tell her that I'm pregnant. So.
And I would say, heart goes out to you, Tawanda. I know today is the anniversary of your father's passing.
Thank you so much.
I know today is a hard day for you, and thoughts and prayers definitely go out to you and to yours. I'll say this. It's interesting that you bring up therapy, Dennis. That's gonna definitely be a future topic for therapy in our community. We've talked about it a couple times before, behavioral health and the African American community, but we're going to talk a little bit about that because there's a lot of things associated with therapy. There's a lot of negative aspects associated with therapy, right? And maybe we need to kind of address some of those things, And in the military at one time, that was seen as a weakness going to therapy because you're not. That affects your operational readiness, your combat readiness, and so you don't want to do those things. Me, I've always said, I'm not the therapy type guy. However, I lived with one, which is a unique experience in and of itself, right? And but I do understand that it is important for people to talk to other people and not be judged and realize that if nothing else, what therapy provides is a safe space to express yourself, where in many realms in our daily lives, and we're finding it more and more so that safe spaces are far and few between, especially in the era of social media. People put your business out there. People you think they're your friends, they're not necessarily, there's not necessarily a safe space to always voice your opinions around friends, family, relatives, etc. So therapy does provide that as well, and plus, gives us ways to navigate through some of the struggles that we go through. It's very disappointing, and I'm sure you all know this also as you just expressed your experiences. Yeah, when you look, there's people that are, they smile in your face all the time. They swear up and down they're your day ones. You all are down like 4 flat tires, and as soon as you run into a challenge, they run for cover. You try to call them up, they can't. They don't answer the phone. They're not around. They act funny when when you're around them. And these are people that you thought were down for you, and they're not. And that can be a disappointing experience in and of itself too, right? Can y'all kind of relate to that?
Yeah. Let me add this real quick.
Go ahead.
One thing I learned when I started really getting into my programs, because I was also a mental health professional as well. There are reasons why people behave that way. We always think that they failed you because they didn't, want to be there for you, or they turn their backs or whatever. But, one of the things I learned is that we never consider those individuals. And so I don't know your situation, but I'm going to use Tawanda as an example. Hypothetically speaking, there's a possibility that the reason why family can kind of turn away or not support you is because they don't know how to help you, or they hear what you're going through and they're in no position to help, and so they get a bad rap a lot of times. But very often we turn to people who are ill-equipped and don't have the proper tools to help you through anything, or themselves for that matter. And so, on the surface, it looks like they may fail you, but the truth is that they themselves are just not in a position to help. And fight or flight, a lot of times they kind of turn away from the what they you think they should do or could do for you, because they just don't know. And that's unfortunate. Again, back to communication. It would be a lot better if somebody says, look, I don't even know what to begin to say to you. I'm just going to sit here with you, or bring over some KFC or something like that, and we're just going to sit in silence. That would be more helpful than avoidance.
Now, here's the thing, Dennis. All right. As you and we as parents, we do have that "I told you so" thing in us, right? And it's one thing we as a parent, we chastise kids. Look, I told you this is going to happen. You should have listened, right? And of course, it depends on the different various situations. But when someone that's not necessarily a parent, someone that is that's a relative, or someone you maybe thought was a friend, the delivery, of them telling you, I told you so.
Yeah.
It may be better to say nothing, because nobody wants to hear I told you. Now, I've not been. I've always had the concept, like for my kids, up until a certain age, I would say, you need to do this. What you need to do is this. You need to do that. This is what you're going to do, because this is the right thing to do, and you need to do it this way. No, I'm not going to let you do this and mess this up. This is how you're going to do this. But when they when my kids become 21, I tell them, I am a last resort, not a first option. I'm here. Yes, I'm still your parent. Yes, you still going to respect me, but I am here to advise you. I will tell you what you may want to consider doing. You might want to think about this. You might want to think about that. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you what you need to do. But what you are not going to do is bring these bad decisions to me. Whatever decisions you make, you're going to be accountable to those. I will help you to navigate through those. I'm always going to be here for you. And if, as a last resort, you need something, I might dig down in the pocket and help you out. But they know that for a little while, they, depending on what it is, they're gonna hear my mouth about it. You know what I'm saying? But they also know, just like most of our kids know, they're gonna hear the mouth about it. They're gonna get scuffed up a little bit, but they do also know that we're gonna help them. We're not gonna let them get so far out of control. Now, sometimes, with that being said, one thing that we need to, we as a people, the issue that we face when we go through challenges. And sometimes, yes, people don't necessarily help us. And when we get to, like some of those people that say, I want to help, but I don't know how to help. I don't know how to give you what it is that you need. Well, the thing is, we need to understand, maybe we, when we start to see something happen, we need to deal with it ourselves up to a point. But we shouldn't necessarily wait until things are in absolute crisis mode on the verge of being irreparable, that now we want to come up and say, hey, I need you to help me with this. Because sometimes things may be, and we have probably been in those situations ourselves at some point, where we thought we had it under control, and all of a sudden this thing just got far beyond what we could handle. So now we need to try to, do damage control to get this thing under control. But we also see people, how many times you've been through stuff, and I'm not talking about people that just say it for something to say, but the people that genuinely mean it. When you go through something and they're like, well, you could have came and asked me. Some people genuinely mean that, because you could have come to them, but we chose not to, because we chose to try to just handle that on our own. But then, we always know there's always those people that are going to say, hey, well, why do you come to me? And we already know that if we had come to them, they would have been there anyway, right? But there's also those people that genuinely say, hey, I'm here to help. One person, they gave an analogy, like when you see people struggling and you don't know what to do, or when you see catastrophe going on around you and you don't know how to deal with the catastrophe, what do? And the answer the person gave was, you look around and see who's doing the helping and do what they're doing. See who's helping. And if you see who's helping and do what they're doing, then that's how things get fixed. But we have a responsibility too. If we're going through a crisis, through an issue, through a storm, and I'm talking about, something major, something where you genuinely need help. Not on the other side of being just, needy, where you just don't want to help yourself. But you actually genuinely, legitimately need help. We have to sometimes put our pride to the side and say, hey, look, I need help with this. And say, hey, I need you to help me. This right here is the situation, and if you're able to help me, I'd appreciate it. If you're not, and you tell me you can't help me, that's fine. I respect that. If you tell me you're not able to help me, but if I ask you to help and you are willing to help me, I appreciate that as well. So we have to be able to. I've had people tell me, I'm gonna ask you for this favor, whatever. If you're not able to do it, that's fine. But if you are, I would appreciate it. And some people I was able to help, some people I wasn't able to help, and I explained to them, I'm not able to help you. But here's a resource that might be able to give you the help that you need. Is that somebody on the? I'm hearing feedback on the phone. Is that you, Tawanda? Hello, Tawanda? All right, she must have set the phone down and did something. But anybody wants to contribute to this conversation, 321-216-6279. I actually will be shutting down soon because I have someone coming on after me. And what this individual is going to talk about, he's going to talk about, I believe, something to do with relationships. But he'll be coming on and he'll be talking a little bit about that. Something about helping in relationships, or something along those lines, and he'll also, I believe, be playing some music, which originates from Haiti. That's who the primary audience was at one time for this show and for this channel is for Haiti. But I want to tell you, and Tawanda, are you listening? Tawanda, are you listening? All right. Well, This is going out to Tawanda, but this is also going to go out to anybody that's out there listening. And that is, look at where you are. Look at what you've had to overcome, what you've had to endure to get to where you are. You have achieved and overcome boundaries, obstacles that others may not have made, may not have been able to be successful with. You, Dennis, 21 years in the military, you've seen people fall by the wayside. You've seen people not make it, am I correct?
Absolutely.
Not make it to the 20. Some people didn't make it to the 20 because they self-destructed. They didn't know how to manage themselves. Some people didn't make it through because they quit. They just didn't have what it took. They didn't have the grit that was needed to do it, because making it to 20 years is not easy. Making it to 10 years is not easy.
That's right.
And then you get those 10 years, you're thinking, man, I got 10 more. You know what I'm saying? So that's not easy. But those people that fell by the wayside, those people that quit, even those people at some point, at some period in time, they've experienced some degrees of successes as well. Maybe them quitting at that point, maybe them giving up, maybe them self-destructing at that point took them on a journey through a valley in which they had to come out on the other side and emerge stronger as well. Nobody's path is a conventional path. We would all love to say that I want to get from here, I want to achieve this goal, and there's a straight line to get there. But in reality, there's no straight line. There's curves, there's mountains, there's valleys, there's hills, there's, some hills are steeper than others, some valleys are lower than others. And what's that?
Potholes.
Yep, there's potholes, there's breakdowns, there's all kinds of different things along the way. But there's power, there's strength in the struggle. And if you're listening to this, you look back over all the things you've done and all the things you've had to overcome. You have a 100% success rate. You have a 100% success rate simply because you're here. You've done everything that you needed to do to overcome some of those obstacles. Some of you may be going through a storm right now. You continue to press forward. Look at those around you. Help those around you. Allow those around you to help you. Don't, hesitate or neglect the opportunity to ask for help if you need it. Because as you come out on the other side, you've got a story to tell. And when you get to the other side, you realize you did, and do understand that when you completed your challenges, when you achieved your 100% success rate, which is where you are right now, although we like to think that we are a self-made person, I did it on my own, but you did not do it on your own. You did not get there by yourself. There are people that helped you along the way. There are people that pushed. There are people that pulled. There are people that drug you forward. So that when you get on the other side, you have a responsibility to reach back and pull that other person that's going through a valley, pull them forward. They pushed, pulled, drug, carried, all those things to get you through. And some it's the words of encouragement. Some it's in even those that let you down along the way. The lesson that you learned is that those people just weren't for you. And you just needed to let those people go so that you could move forward. Sometimes in order for us to achieve, we got to let go of someone and move up and progress. We got to cut some of those sandbags loose that's holding us down, in order for us to develop. And that can be a tough thing to do, very tough to do. But yet, we do it, we move on, we continue to strive as we seek to do better. Because once we know better, we can do better. And when we do better, then we can help others to be better. You know, we all are in the pursuit of perfection, but we all know that perfection is not achievable. But we also know, as I like to say, in the pursuit of perfection, you will find excellence. And as you find that excellence, you will achieve that through going through the valleys that you're going to have to go through, those challenges you're going to have to overcome. Again, you have a 100% success rate. If nobody's clapping for you, you know you've had no one clap for you today. There you go. I'm clapping for you now. I'm clapping for you. Dennis on there, he's clapping for you. Tawanda is clapping for you. And then I want you to sit down right now, think of all you've been through, and I want you to sit there and I want you to clap for yourself. Because you did it. And you've got a long way to go, you've got a lot more to offer, and yeah, there's going to be some challenges. You're going to embrace and engage those challenges, you're going to take the lessons, and you're going to continue to move forward. Dennis, you got anything you want to add?
I like what you said about 100% success rate. I never thought about it like that. But regardless of the outcome, the fact that you made it through and you completed the task or found another way to get through it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be pretty. But the fact that you made it through, that's 100% success rate. And I never thought about it like that. I'm over here clapping for myself.
That's it. That's right. That's right. And
we all have those circumstances or encounters that we've had. Every time you think about it, you go, ooh, that was painful, or that was ugly. But if you think about it in terms of, like you said, 100% success rate, the fact that you survived it, I think that deserves some really time to just sit down and acknowledge it and give yourself a break, and celebrate some of that.
yeah,
Because even though you don't know how you did it, but you came out, you learned something, and you made it to this point, and that's reason to celebrate.
and again, like I said, we all clapping for you. And take some time out and clap for yourself.
That's right.
Because
It's empowering.
Yep, and think about the ones that may not have made it. They and again, those individuals that fell off, they had their life took them in a different journey. Their life took them in a different journey. They too should have success. This was just a learning, opportunity for them as they move forward and maybe moved into something else. Maybe maybe this was a stepping stone, and they decided, I need to shift gears, and instead of going down this path, I need to go down this one, and ultimately they end up where they're supposed to be, just like you. And there's a lot more. There's a lot more. We have a lot more to give. We have a lot more to do. We have a lot more people to reach. And as we talk about reaching and outreach, I want you all to go ahead and like and share this show so that we can get the followership increased. Once I get the followership increased to a certain number, then we'll be able to broadcast this on TikTok Live. That was the issue why it hasn't. We weren't able to go on that platform today. We're going to negotiate a couple of remedies to that so that we can broadcast on TikTok as well. But we are right now, as some of you can see, we're broadcasting on YouTube, but also we're doing this on Facebook Live. We're going to continue to use those platforms, YouTube and on Facebook Live. And those of you that are watching, you can share this out. It'll be saved on YouTube, so you can actually go on YouTube, type in Dr. Larry Thomas Show, and my show, I will appear in there. Some of my past shows will appear as well. The first name that comes up, funny enough, when you type in Dr. Larry Thomas, the first person that comes up in the feed is the soup Nazi from Seinfeld, because that's his name, Larry Thomas, right? But just keep scrolling down, and then you'll see my past shows. So you can go ahead and you can watch these at any time. And hopefully these are going to provide some level of encouragement to you and take you on throughout the week, and also, somewhere along your journey as I'm able to join in with you along this leg of your journey. Anything you'd like to say, Dennis? Because I'm gonna guess I'm gonna wrap this thing up. I've got my sound guy telling me it's almost time to get out of here because I got the next gentleman in the wings waiting. Go ahead.
Okay, one last thing. First of all, I want to thank Tawanda for sharing her story too. I really appreciated her honesty and the information that she was able to share with us. So thank her for that. And one last thing. I'm talking like a counselor now. Take time to look around and for indications of somebody who may be suffering in silence. People are going through things, and you never know what somebody's experiencing. And I would encourage everyone to look around and note anybody who may be suffering in silence, and just offer an ear, or just ask them how they're doing. There's a lot going on right now. The suicide rate is an all-time high. People are really going through things, especially since COVID. And sometimes you may be that one person to say, hey, how's it going today? I noticed you didn't come to work. Everything good? And you'd be surprised. People really do want to talk. They just don't know that they have the resources there. And I would encourage everyone to just see something, say something. Ask them how their day is going. Make note of anybody who may be suffering in silence, and just maybe be that one person who can kind of give them some kind of hope.
Very, very good. Yeah, everyone you meet is going through some type of issue that you know nothing about. You're going through some type of challenge you know nothing about. And sometimes the person laughing the hardest at the party can be the saddest person on the inside. You can be in a room full of people and yet still feel all alone. And we need to be able to identify those people, and simple, how are things going? Really, genuinely ask, how are things going? Next question, how can I help? How can I help you? Is there something I can do? I'm here to listen. I'm here to help and provide that. What's the word? Provide that level of confidence, meaning confidentiality. That's be the person that provides that safe space for this person to talk to, because sometimes there's no safe space because people don't feel they can trust people because they've been down that road. They've been hurt before. They've shared stuff with people only to find out that it's later been posted on social media. It's been, told to other people, and they tell you something in confidence and find out that it's all over the place. And so people are hesitant to do that, and especially in our community, people put your business out there sometimes. So you got to really be careful. And sometimes it can be family, and sometimes they'll do it at the most inopportune and awkward times. And it's very unfortunate that our relative, and I refer those individuals as relatives, not necessarily family. To me, there's a big distinction between relatives and family, but you already know that. So I'm going to go ahead and cut you loose. Dennis, thanks a lot for calling in. I appreciate it. Next time, maybe we can get some more callers to call in and maybe have a more active conversation as well. But I'm glad Tawanda called in, shared her experience as well as yours, and clearly, of course, you both came out stronger on the other side of that, and you have lessons learned that have enabled you to grow personally, also professionally, as you continue to walk through this thing called life. And I want to, again, for you and Tawanda as well, hey, I'm clapping for y'all. I'm clapping for y'all. And I know that you all need to take that time out, clap for yourself.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
All right. Thanks a lot. I'm going to go ahead and cut you loose. You can hang on and watch as I wrap this thing up. But thanks a lot for calling in. Hope to hear from you again. Okay, everybody, I want to say thanks a lot for having, allowing me to share your space. You could be anywhere at this moment in time. However, you chose to invite me into your space to share this moment in time with you. And for that, I'm very, very grateful for this opportunity. Next week, I'm not sure yet as if I will be broadcasting or not. If I will be broadcasting, of course, you will see the promo come out. I will post on my Facebook page, and I will post it out for all of you to see. But if I am not broadcasting next week, you all can go on to Radio Telemergence. Also, you can go on to YouTube, and you'll be able to pull up any of the previous broadcasts, and hopefully this will enrich you and take you into the next week. As I like to close every show, first of all, I hope that you all feel encouraged. I hope you all feel the motivation, feel the confidence, and competence in yourselves to clap for yourself as you have gone through many of the challenges and the struggles. And as you prepare yourself, because more struggles are coming, but as you prepare yourself to make it through these challenges that are out there for you. So, as I like to close every show, the journey of life is a lesson, and the classroom is always open so we can live, learn, and we can all grow together. This is Dr. Larry Thomas. Until next time, have a very good week.